I further bear witness that he traveled 9,000 miles to raise up one in the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the eternal leader of the Nation of Islam. And the two of them left a divine reminder in our midst in the hard-working Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in their names and in their spirit that I greet my brethren, believers, and guests in the greeting words of peace and paradise. We said in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be upon you. How's everyone feeling today?
Fine, sir.
Y'all sure? We've had a lot of theatrics in the last couple of days in the United States, right? I may need to turn this down a little bit. Here's some feedback. But oh well, let's get into it. Today's lecture, we're going to deal with marriage, what that means, what love is, and how ultimately it tells your business practices. Because marriage is a partnership, right?
Yes, sir.
When you have two accountants that come together and they form a business, they call it what? A partnership. When you have attorneys that come together and they form a business, they call it what? A partnership. Anytime when you start a business, you start to create what's called your bylaws, right? How the company is going to work. How, you get everything in order because you're going to sign an agreement that you don't plan on breaking. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's the similarities between the two. However, the law is different because you got family law versus business law. But the root of it is pretty much the same, right? Because you still have to sue your partner when you want to get out of that agreement, right? So God says in the Bible that he hates divorce, right?
Yes, sir.
And so we're going to get into some of these subjects, some of these principles today, inshallah. And we'll get it's just going to be kind of basically, there's a lot that I wanted to get into that I can't because I'm trying to stay within a certain time frame anytime I do a lecture within 45 minutes. So we definitely will be revisiting this topic, all right? But we want to get an understanding of marriage and what that means because, now in this day and time, brothers don't want to get married. We come from different households. I can bear witness a single parent. My mother had me as a teenager, and you just see things. You be like, man, I ain't dealing with this. Like, I'm getting the same thing without being married, so why am I going to get married? And it's the truth. It's the truth. So these are all of the things that we are dealing with in order to become one. But before we delve deep into it, if you hadn't had a chance to read the latest edition of The Final Call, don't hesitate to pick that up on your way out, all right? Above the law, it says, what does the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling granting absolute immunity to American presidents mean for a nation heading towards a volatile election and for a once mighty country continuing to unravel? All right. And then the lead lecture by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the question of integration versus separation. Now that's deep. That's deep because a lot of us, I'm just going to do it with our community, say that we are ready for separation, but our minds are still in integration. A lot of us say that we are ready to do for self, but won't take the time, effort, and building the will to withstand what it's going to take to do for self. And that means that you're willing to get down to your last penny for what you believe in. You understand? I'm not talking about giving your last penny in charity and you got to go pay your bill. That ain't what I'm talking about. For me, that is unintelligent. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
If you got to pay your light bill tomorrow and you're going to give your last money to the preacher or to the teacher or whatever, that is very unintelligent. Yeah, nah, because it's the truth. You all right, sis? It's the truth. Because you believe in a mystery God. Right? But you are, as the poem Evictus says, the master of my fate, the captain of my soul. All right? This book, this illuminating book that has fished in many Lost Found, as we call them. Message to the Black Man of America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you hadn't read this in a while, go read it. Go read it, go read it, go read it. Start on page 260 if you're asking me for a reference. All right? But those who've never read it, start on page 1. You understand? But those who have read it before and you ain't opened it up in a while, start on page 260, where he talks about who's going to be the winner, living or dead, and how that's going to happen. And he talks about leadership, and he talks about that the people, us, meaning us, the black man and black woman of America, don't just need leaders. They need divine leadership. All right? I was interviewed by Brother Willie yesterday on a program that we got coming out next Sunday. Inshallah, you'll tune in to that. And we were talking about leadership. And I brought this point up about divine leadership. And how do you know when the leadership is divine? You know, but if you study the nation's history, there's a pattern of how divine leadership gets into positions versus leadership. You understand? So that's some of your homework that you can do. One of the main scriptures in the Bible, and I read this a lot, and I read it so much because I really want you to understand what it means and who is coming to claim us and why, all right? All three of these scriptures in the Bible are dealing with the coming of God. The main one that is used to take land from those in the Eastern Hemisphere is Genesis 15:13 through 15. Where it reads, "And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. And they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age." One of those substances that God has to reestablish with us is nation building, or family building, or marriage. That's why we're dealing with marriage, all right? In the Holy Quran, when it talks about the creation of man, starting from worthless water, through a clot, through the forming of an embryo, right? This is the beginning of marriage. Once the soul is separated from the form, then you are divorced. You are dead. You are separated. You understand? So the first relationship that we have is this soul coming into a body that's going to be delivered through a woman. All right? And in the Holy Quran, he says he was with you. All of this. I want you to think about this. Book was made 1,400 years ago, was revealed to a man 1,400 years ago. And in this book is describing what we see in sonograms and MRIs today. Think about that. So what type of science, what type of knowledge is the God on that we say that we believe in? What time is he on that he could describe that 1,400 years ago to a group of people who you think were living in the Stone Ages? Just something to think about. But he's coming, he said he's going to judge this land, and afterwards you'll come out with great substance, right? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that our unity is more powerful than a what? Atomic bomb. What does an atomic bomb do? It destroys the atmosphere. We talking about science, right? We're talking about neutrons and protons connecting. Is that right? Like a marriage. Like a marriage, right? We in the Nation of Islam, we believe in marriage, family, right? Or we wouldn't be a nation to be attached to a linking verb of that's going to link you to Islam. So your first thought should be family. Is that right, brothers?
Yes, sir.
Your first thought should be family. Now, the substance that our open enemies have extracted away from us has made it very difficult for us to have a family. Is that right? To go through sickness or poor, or sickness and health, rich or poor. Just those alone will cause a divorce. In today's society, So we have to be elevated and mature in our thinking. Because there's a book that I read before, it's by T.D. Jakes called Before You Do. Brother Nuri came out with a book that said the same thing, Before You Do, right? But basically, the root of it all is that you are taking yourself out of a culture that you were raised in, right? And I'll just go from the brother's side. And then a brother sees a sister that's physically attractive to him, right? So he approaches the sister, and she yields and submits to his approach, right? A relationship starts to build from there. This is the beginning, right? Without communication, there is no beginning of marriage, right? From this conversation should decide if both of you are going to be willing to be a part of a contract that binds you for life. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In this book that's written by Maulana Muhammad Ali, which is basically a breakdown of the religion of Islam, there's a pamphlet that he has out that's called Islamic Law, Marriage, and Divorce. All right? The opening page of this manual says marriage in Islam. Now, if you need to take a picture of this, please do. All right? Because again, I don't come up before you creating or trying to come up with these lectures just for you to come hear me speak. The Holy Quran is clear about those who speak the word of Allah. So I want you to write this down. In Holy Quran 2:44, it reads, "Do you enjoin men to be good and neglect your own souls while you read the book and have no sense?" What does that mean to a leader? Right? In the footnotes, it says the leaders enjoin their followers to be good because they could not remain leaders otherwise. Y'all hear me? So these are self-appointed leaders who feel that they need a title in order to be a leader, right? But yet our open enemy could recognize the leaders when they're toddlers. Y'all hear me? He says, he goes on in the footnotes, it says, but their own lives were corrupt. They read the book and yet they do not follow it. How could the ignorant masses benefit from their preaching? They can't. They start to look at the person who's preaching as a fake and a phony. All right? And then they start to lose hope in what you call religion or human relationships on a higher plane. All right? Let's keep going. He says, marriage in Islam, back to this, is a sacred contract which every Muslim must enter into. That's obligatory. Why do you think that is? We are taught in the Nation of Islam that your word should be your bond, and bond is life, and I will give my before my right. So before you give your word, you need to do an extensive investigation on the person who you saying is going to be your partner. And not only on that person, but each other's family, because you have to know how they were raised. If not, how do you know what you're going to tolerate? And vice versa. How does she know what she's going to tolerate? You was born in a single parenthood home. You never really saw a father do anything good for a woman but bring her in and out of the house with a new one every week. Now you're an adult. You meet a sister on the corner, at school, at the grocery store, at the gas station. And now you in love because of her physical. But not really because of her mental. Right? Now mental is meeting on what? A higher plane morally. Right? So as a Muslim, when you say that you are a Muslim, it says each Muslim must enter into it unless there are special reasons why a Muslim shouldn't be married, which is psychological reasons. That's the only reason why you shouldn't be trying to find a partner. Now, those who are coming in late, We started out this talking about what is a partnership in business and the type of industry that builds LLPs. You understand? You have your attorneys, you have your accountants, your accounting firms. These are partnerships. You understand? And before they get into a partnership, they lay out rules and regulations that they call bylaws, right? Or constitution. And if you are found negligent of that, then you can be sued and you owe the other party restitution. Sounds like a marriage, don't it? Now, but every Muslim must enter into this class of being married, right? All right. Thus in the Holy Quran it is said, and marry those among you who are single, and those who are fit among your male slaves and your female slaves, right? Right. We have tyrants on both sides of the aisle when it comes to this marrying people while they are single. You're at work, you find somebody going through who's married, who's going through a hardship with their spouse, and you take advantage of their emotional state. Is that right? You tell her, oh, I wouldn't do you like that. That's all you gotta say. This is a predator on both sides of the aisle now. All right? It's just I'm a man, so I'm gonna tell you what men do. All right? I wouldn't do you like he did you like what? All right. Single. Instead of going out finding one for your own, and we live in a single society, you prey on the weak so you don't have to use that much brain power because you after the cookie. That's really what it's about. But you play with her emotional state. Then if she gets pulled all the way in, now you playing with God. You was playing with God from the beginning, but now you really playing with God, right? The opposite. Her husband finds the text message that you thought would never happen because you got all these secret apps. Because remember, you playing with God. And grandma told you whatever was done in the dark would come to the what? But you didn't believe her. You thought you was slick. It's just like my cousin. He go in and out of jail, man, all the time, black. And he come in and he tell me that this time I ain't going back, but then he end up going back. He think he found another way. You know what I'm saying? And I talk to him about, it don't mean I throw him away. It's my partner, man. You know what I'm saying? And we have a lifelong commitment that I got to save my brother. But it's the same way when you playing with this, right? So the Quran is explicit. It says, and marry those who are among you who are single and those who are fit among your male slaves and your female slaves. If they are needy, Allah will make them free from want out of his grace. What does that mean, needy? Go back to my example. She was in need. And she didn't seek refuge with Allah or the God who she claims that she understands and loves, right? She sucked out praise from another man. Or actually just let him in. Thought that he was a friend. And he manipulated her through her ears. All right? Allah will make thee free from want out of his grace. And Allah is ample giving, knowing. And let those who do not find a match keep chaste until Allah makes them free from want out of his grace. Right? What is this one? Just the human needs is a one. How do you stay chaste in a society that's built on sex, drugs, and violence? When everywhere you look is talking about sex, drugs, and violence. So it's a test for the singles to stay chaste until you find one, right? But the male has to want to get married and the female has to want to get married. The will to even want to build this type of partnership, knowing the advantage of this type of partnership versus being alone and by yourself. There's an advantage to marriage, right? Let's keep going. In another verse, marriage relationship is given the same importance as blood relationship. And he it is who has created man from water. And then he made from him blood relationship and marriage relationship. The Hadith also lays stress upon living in a married state. The Holy Prophet is reported to have said to certain people who talked of fasting in the daytime and keeping awake during the night, praying to God and keeping away from marriage. He says, I keep a fast and I break it, and I pray and I sleep, and I am married. So whoever inclines to any other way than my sunnah, he is not of me. Marriage is obligatory in Islam. This is the beginning of nation building. And it shows your commitment and your willingness to remain through the thick and the thin. All right. Are there certain circumstances? Yes, there are. I don't want us to get crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? If the sister's beating up on the brother and he coming home with a black eye, and you know she didn't hit him and threw hot water on him, it may be something you may want to rethink, soldier. You know what I'm saying? Because your house is supposed to be peaceful. And if you go in there in this drama because she's being abusive to you, then we got a problem. Look, the sister's laughing. Look, you better wake up. What type of world we live in today? Hell, these sisters can throw a right punch just like we can throw a right punch. They can take a punch just like we can take a punch, right? They can dunk now. What you talking about? I'm talking about drop step and hang on the rim and slap the glass. You better wake up. No, this is real talk. This is what we living in, right? This is the world we are living in. They not soft and delicate. Some are, but not, some they ready to get with you. They packing heat just like you packing heat. They selling dope just like you selling dope. They driving old schools on 24s just like you driving old schools on 24s. They doing what we do, right? And they don't want to get married just like you don't want to get married. That's what we dealing with, right? Marriage, love, and business. Some of the substance that was taken away from us. Now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says business is warfare, which means there's rules to engage in. Marriage is business. Marriage is love, and love is duty. Right? Y'all okay? Okay. In the Bible, in both the Old and New Testament, marriage is regarded as a sacred covenant established by God between man and a woman. Now, why is this a sacred covenant? Or a contract? Again, a contract. Why is this a sacred contract? All right? Because before you enter it, you better know you want to enter it. All right? So you can do this one time. That's the goal. Now, if you hadn't, I'm not talking down on you. If you've been married a couple, it's cool. But you still have goals and objectives that God, he has standards that God has, right? Doesn't make you a bad person. Marriage is regarded as a sacred contract established by God between man and a woman. Now, we got to keep the human family going. Y'all hear me? That's one of the reasons why. You got to keep the human family going. If everybody on the planet becomes asexual, we done. We done. Period. In Genesis 2:24, in the Old Testament states, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife. Now, why is that? Why is that? Why does he have to leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife? How many relationships last when your parents are involved in them? We can just start there. Dealing with us. You want to control your child's every move. How does that work out for you? Like they never become independent. They never can make good decisions. So you think. But the Bible says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother. That means his teacher and his nurturer, right? And hold fast to his wife. Because they're about to build a whole nother culture, right? It's like missionary work almost. I got a culture, but I'm going to go in here and I'm trying to see what they're up to, and we're going to take the best of both worlds, right? And build a marriage, right? And they shall become what? One flesh. Some people been married so long they start to look alike. For real. You see them all the time, right? They're becoming one flesh, one mind. They know their husband's reaction, and the husband's gonna know how the wife is gonna react. That's how much in tune they are with each other, right? This verse emphasizes the unity and permanence of marriage. And unity is what? More powerful than what? An atomic bomb, right? Now, permanence means what? The state of quality of lasting or remaining unchanged indefinitely. Think about that. The permanence of marriage is divided by a Lincoln verb when you know the rules of English, right? Y'all okay? All right. Let me make sure I ain't going too deep on y'all. You know, sometimes, we can go a little deep. In a lecture titled Rebuilding the Family by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he states, in the Bible, we are taught that Allah made man and woman in his image and after his likeness. This tells us that both male and female are created by Allah to manifest his divine characteristics in their pursuit of life and in their relationship with each other and in their relationship with other human beings. We are the exact opposite. So in Islam, we say that marriage is one half of your what? Faith. How are you gonna know yourself if you ain't got nobody to tell you what you're doing? It's just a question. I know when I got married, I found out a whole lot of stuff that I wasn't paying attention to. I'm the only one that can bear witness to that. Or if you got a long-time girlfriend, she knows more about you than you do because she's watching you, right? And vice versa. That's how he knows how to manipulate you. He knows what you're going to do. He knows how to get it out of you, right? Right. So he says that man and woman is made, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, in his image and after his likeness. This tells us that both male and female are created by Allah to manifest his divine characteristics in their pursuit of life. Now, what is your definition of life? And how do you pursue life? How are you taught to pursue life? That's the question. Because this is some of the substance that the open enemy has taken away from us that God came to give back to us. You understand? We have to make our word bond. These are the characteristics of Allah, right? You can't say you believe in God and then say you're going to do something and don't do it. You can't say that the black man is God and you say you're going to do something and don't do it. You understand? It doesn't work that way. Because that means you're lying to yourself and you're lying on God. Y'all all right? All right. Equality, mutual respect. Islam emphasizes the equality of all individuals, including within marriage. Spouses are expected to treat each other with respect, compassion, and fairness. Is that right? Holy Quran 30 and 21. Respect, compassion, and fairness. Right? All a man wants you to do is respect him, sister. At the end of the day, you ain't even gotta like him. You just gotta respect him. That's it. And don't take the how can I say? Like the example I gave before about the male taking advantage of the female, well, how the female takes advantage of the male. In that area of respect, you can catch him weak and just straight up disrespect him. And then use his reaction against him to put him in jail. But you initiated this physical altercation from your mouth. Is that right? The power of the tongue is more powerful than anything. So we got to watch what we say, not only to him, but he has to watch what he says to you. Right? Because believe it or not, brothers, they got a computer in their head called a brain. And even though it seems like they done forgave and you thought that they forgot, it's always there, bro. So if you messed up and said something slick, says something stupid, don't think it's gone. It's always there. It's always there. That's just learning the female, right? So in Yusuf Ali, Holy Quran 30 and 21, it says, and among his signs is this, that he created for you mates from among yourselves, that ye may dwell in tranquility with them. And he has put love and mercy between your hearts. Verily, in that are signs for those who reflect. The coming together, the union of the male and the female is how you start to manifest Allah. It's how you start to manifest Allah. He says there are signs in this for those who reflect. He talks about it, the translation uses the word tranquility with them. What does tranquility mean? The quality of the state of being calm and peaceful. You understand? Even when you're in your emotions. Because you have to master this thing called brain in order for this relationship to last long. Not saying that neither the east side won't get mad, but how do you go through the madness? Because with any trial, if you make it through the trial, then you elevate a level, right? Progress is stress. Y'all hear me? Progress is stress. So if you're trying to be progressive in any field of human endeavor, you should expect stress. Right? Allah says in the Holy Quran that he tries you. Why? Why is Allah trying you with stress? Because he's shaping and molding you and elevating you by degrees through trial. Right? And the first trial is marriage. Y'all all right? All right. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says in the same lecture, Rebuilding the Family. According to the Bible, Allah did not desire the man to be alone. Why is that? If you think you're lonely now. Don't nobody want to be alone. They make songs about it, right? Right. He says he did not desire the man to be alone because this partnership is about progression of the human family, right? And building upon these things. He also says in the Quran that he made you of tribes and sects that you may learn each other. Sex, X-E-S-E-C-T, right? I know sometimes, it may come out, it may sound different, but that's what I'm saying. All right. So you may know each other. Same thing in male and female relationships. During the courting stage, you better learn. You better ask questions. You better go visit. You understand? You better go visit not just that family, but the family before that family that made that family. That means grandma and them too. You better go see what's going on so you can know that you're making the right business decision. All right? I know emotions is at the beginning of it. It's called love or lust, or whatever you want to call it, right? But as it progresses and you start getting in your 20th year of marriage, the puppy love gone at that time. Love is a real duty. Is that right? And you're leading towards that, right? They say the first 8 to 10 years of marriage is the most stressful or the most trying times, right? Because it goes in phases. Let's keep going. Therefore, he created from a single essence the man and the woman, but he created the woman for the man. Is that right? Looks like the words are the same, except the one in the front just got a W-O. Right? One carries a womb and one doesn't. The word that is used in the Bible is help meet. Help meet what? These expectations that we done playing together. Is that right? She won't help you if you're a tyrant. It just doesn't work that way. That's why there's no compulsion in Islam, right? Or in our way, you can't make anybody do anything unless you do it a certain way. You understand? Because this is about relationship building at the same time. And again, a title does not make you a leader. It can make you a fool at the same time. Leadership is not given. You understand? And when they say it's earned, as my brother say, you don't know who the leaders is when they toddlers, who don't even know how to read or write or talk. But they got people following them. Is that right? Those are the natural born leaders. He says the female, according to the Bible, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, is created by Allah to help the man meet the obligation that Allah has put within the nature of the male. The Holy Quran teaches us that Allah created the woman as the consoler of the man. This teaches us that in the very nature of the female is her ability, desire, and will to console. Now, he didn't say the human female, he said the female. So you study nature, right? You study nature. That doesn't mean that she's just regulated to that characteristic when you're trying to learn each other. You understand? For instance, my wife is good at numbers. All right? She's an accountant. I know how her brain works. It don't work like mine. So I can say some numbers and she can give me the answer just like that. Or if I ask her something like, man, back in 2000, when we did X, Y, and Z and it came up to this, she can break it down and tell me X, Y, and Z. You know? That's one of her attributes. But what are the others? That's what you learn doing marriage, right? So when I have to deal with situations with numbers, who you think I'm gonna bring with me? Even though I'm not bad at numbers, don't get me wrong. But who you think I'm gonna bring with me? All the time. And it ain't just because she's my wife. It's because she's good at what she do, which is numbers, right? And have always been like that. Always been like that. And so I even notice it in some of my children who are good at numbers, who can just say it just like that. I'd be like, wow, that's something. But she is a consoler. If she's in tune with you, brother. Because if you got a storm cloud at your house, she may not console you, brother, whatsoever. May not even want to console you whatsoever, right? So you got to rule your kingdom with freedom, justice, and equality all the time if you want to extract the goodness out of your queen. This is part of marriage. You understand? And communication on both sides is a vital instrument in that consoling, in that learning of each other, and in that getting past our differences. Right? All right. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan goes on to say, console, to alleviate or lessen the grief, sorrow, or disappointment of. Give solace or comfort, cheer up. Allah teaches us in the Quran that He created the woman that the man might find peace and quiet of mind in her. Right? So not only do you bring your issues to Allah, right? But if marriage is one half of faith, you're going to have to discuss some of these issues with your partner. You can't hold back, right? Because again, in the first 8 years of marriage, you're still trying to learn each other. You're still trying to learn their family. What's this movie that's out by Tyler Perry called The Divorce? Oh yeah, y'all done seen it there. Look, I just put I looked at it yesterday. Dude crazy, ain't he? Dude crazy. But then it showed his mom. And it showed his brothers. It showed where he got that mindset from, right? It showed what she put up with and her friends trying to help her through this. It's really good. It really is. It really is. But when you're looking at the mindset though, and I got girls and I'm like, dude, and then when daddy telling her like, dude, I didn't raise you like this. I didn't talk to your mama like this. That's important as a man. And for one like me who has 5 girls, then what type of example am I setting for her? What will she accept if I talk crazy to her mama, or if I get mad and throw a chair at her, cuss her out, embarrass her in front of everybody when she with her friends and her partners? You feel what I'm saying? This is what was going on in the movie. Crazy. Crazy. And he was still expecting good from his wife. Y'all shaking y'all heads like we ain't got none of y'all up in here like that. Oh, bro, you best believe it, we got some lunatics up in here. Don't get it twisted. You find out when you marry them if you don't do your homework. Yeah, we're going to keep it 100, right? You got to, man. You got to, brothers and sisters. All right. So being a consoler, being able to cheer up. Now, that's an attribute of the female, right? But that doesn't mean the male can't do the same thing for the female. Because you carry both male and female chromosomes, right? Right? So you should be able to pull at some of your female attributes for your wife. What, she don't get down? She not human? Look, it get quiet, don't it? Why I get so quiet when we talk about this stuff? You understand? But we got to get it right, though, family. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. It is all good. So the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan says the very nature of the female is to offer to the man that which enables the man to find the natural relief of stress or the pain involved in the struggle of man to obey God's instructions. So even the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan is letting you know that it's a struggle to obey God. Yes, sir. Right? It's a struggle to, in the chain of command, to obey him. Or we would be a lot further along than where we are. That's just it. There ain't nothing else you can say about it. You know what I'm saying? Every man that is successful would like to teach those to be like him, but everybody don't have what that man has. It's just what it is. You know? It's a certain attribute, it's a certain charisma, it's a certain thing that turns on in that progressive man at a certain time that some people just don't have. You can read about it in books. Everybody reads the same books. But when it comes to practical application, that's what separates the boys from the men. You understand? The girls from the women. All right? Okay. Let me see. Back to this. This is a really good book if you don't have it. For those who are ready, I'll post it in our chat and you can download it on PDF. All right. Happy Savior's Day. Now, we got to give out gifts. I'm not the Jew that hides behind his back and then how do you benefit from his preaching? Ain't that 2 and 44 we just read, right? Nah, you gotta give it all to him. In here, the Millennium Muhammad says, feelings of love and service developed through marriage. The institution of marriage is also responsible to a very great extent for the development of those feelings of love and service, which are the pride of humanity today. The mutual love of husband and wife, a love based not on momentary passions, but lifelong connection and the consequent parental love for offspring leads to a very development of the feeling of love of man for man as such. And this is the disinterested service of humanity. This love is described as a sign of God in the Quran. And one of his signs is that he created mates for you from yourselves, that you may find quiet of mind in them, and he put between you love and compassion, man. Yeah, that's deep. But the benefits of marriage is pointed out. It helps you even build love for your fellow brother and man. You understand? Married couples want to hang around married couples. If you married and your wife is hanging out with somebody single all the time, or your husband is hanging out with single all the time, then your mind starts to twirl. Why? Because y'all really ain't got nothing in common. You understand? Because the married couples are trying to focus on building a nation. You got to find your partner to even begin. Quick. You can't keep inviting me to these parties. For real. The single retreat could be down the street, bro, Tony. You know what I'm saying? Meet me at Oak Cliff. Club Oak Cliff, man. You know what I'm saying? At the Cliff Club. You ain't doing nothing tonight. She sleep? Oh man, come through. You understand? I seen a man who was already cheating on his girlfriend. Now, I ain't saying I was a saint, but I'm just telling you how this thing worked, how it was going. And then get married the next day, and then go right back to doing the same thing. And I'd be like, bro, what's going on with you, man? And I'm single at this time. I'm like, bro, what's up, man? If you ain't gonna do it, then don't do it. If you're gonna do it right. Why do it? You know? But again, so you got to be careful, sisters. You got to be careful. Because some of this stuff is financial, and you don't even know it. Ain't that right, brothers?
Yes, sir.
Some of it is financial, and she will never know it. We chameleons for real. We'll play with your emotions for real. Look, the ones that we know. Because we know partners that do it all the time. For they benefit of whatever it's really about them. It's really a selfish thing. And so their whole purpose, job, instruction, and manuscript is about manipulating a female. You know, right? They call them pimps, hustlers, right? And some just good at what they do. So you got to be up on game. If you got a male friend, ask him. So what do? You better ask him. I'm about to marry this dude. He did this, you know. Not a male friend your age, like an older married male friend. They can give you some game. You know what I'm saying? That ain't really trying to give you game for a different reason. All right. But anyway, marriage develops the institution, right? Marriage develops the feeling of love and service, which are the pride of humanity today, right? Because this whole thing is, life is about serving others. Y'all hear me? Yes, sir. It's about serving others, whether it's your children, whether it's your wife, whether it's your husband, whether it's whatever community involvement that we're involved in. It's about serving others and being good at it and having fun doing it, right? Marriage should be a fun, loving experience. Now, it's not going to be fun and kicking it all the time. Because don't forget, this is also a business. So that means you got to plan for the future. You got to know how to save. You got to know how to sacrifice. These are attributes of a good marriage, right? At least this is what they told me before I got married. You got to be understanding. You got to be kind. You got to be dutiful to each other, right? If we want this to last. And understanding is a big one. So that's why I said earlier, we got to know what we going to tolerate early. And don't overlook that without having a serious conversation with your mate. Because what you see in the beginning is what you going to see. Look, you going to see it. So if you can tolerate it, then tolerate it. But don't think just because they married you that that's going to change overnight. They didn't get into the way that they think overnight. This is a progression of what we saw growing up throughout life, and now we saying we want to cleave to somebody else and build a partnership with them. All right? Now, let's deal with the other end. Because again, this is a business, right?
Yes, sir.
For God says in the Bible, for I hate divorce, says the Lord, the God of Israel. And him who covers his garments with violence, says the Lord of armies. So be careful about your spirit that you do not deal treacherously. In the Old Testament, now this is deep, because it's really talking about in a time where the male was the hunter-gatherer. The male was everything. The wife did the things at the home, but the male was going out to get it every day. You know what I'm saying? And bringing it back. But the male also had a duty when it's talking about who covers his garments. All right? In the Old Testament, covering someone with your garment is a metaphor for protection. A classic example is in Ezekiel 16:8, where God describes his love for Israel using the symbolism of a man and wife as the protector and provider. Men are supposed to cover their wives. Y'all hear me? Men are supposed to do what? Right. So that means you don't air out your wife's dirty laundry because you mad at her.
Right.
That's a foolish man.
Come on, brother.
You're not covering her And you're not being true to what you said you was going to be true to. As the protector and provider, men are supposed to cover their wives. Malachi's 2 criticisms in this passage is that this is not happening. Israeli men are marrying pagan women. Look. You hear him, Enix? You hear him, right? You hear him, right? These be the same brothers. They say, we ain't got no sisters. And bring one in. This is real talk, because this is what we do. And marry pagan women, Malachi 2:11. And they are divorcing their Jewish wives or their righteous women in order to do it. This is exactly the opposite of protection. In fact, this is an act of spiritual violence. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Being a man ain't easy, but being a woman ain't easy either. We got roles to play. And being a man, you got to be the protector. This means you got to have some kahunas, homie.
Come on.
You got to have some heart. You should fear no one but Allah. Right? And you got to know the benefit of covering your wife. Right? I know partners, man, who thought that they had a good woman. As soon as she messed up, she called the police because he's selling dope.
Wow.
But he thought he made the right choice. Now she mad, she ain't married to him. She just mad at him and be like, hey, he got 100 kilos over here. Now what kind of nigga stuff is that? Even though he doing wrong and damaging his community, where's the love at? Where's the honor and the protection that? You feel me? That's crazy, ain't it? I got partners that didn't happen to. Boy, you better know it's a dirty game out here, man. You know what I'm saying? We talking about marriage and commitment, man. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that says, I'm down for you. And as soon as things just get a little shaky, man, then, you know, all hell breaks loose. Now they done got you turned up. You like, man, I'm about to kill her, bro.
That's how we think.
That's how we think, brother. But I want you to think about that, what it means by covering your wife. When you're talking about protecting her, taking care of her, making sure she has the basic needs and the other needs that she needs, right? Or wants that she needs. I think that's right. Basic needs and wants that she needs. Is that right, sisters? Look, she said that's why we need it all. What if he giving it all and it ain't enough? He's giving you all he can give you, sis, and it ain't enough. Then how does the relationship go? You know? But this is where that understanding comes into play, right? You know, I'm telling you, every household is not ran the same. You can talk that mess.
Yes, sir. Come on.
But really, it's not ran the same. You can give good tidbits. I can tell you what we do. But what we do may not be good for you. It may be another way of handling things. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we're talking about finances. You know? Me and my wife, look, here we go. No, but this is just what works for us. And it's always been like this. No matter who makes the most money, it goes into one pot. That's just how we do things. Look, they like, ooh, woo, woo, woo. But I'm just, listen, that's just how we do things. You understand? What's worked for us throughout all of these 22 years. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a frivolous spender. I never have been. These are things that we talked about. You understand what I'm saying? I just told you I depend on her about the numbers. It's what you think I'm asking her all the time. What we got in the bank? And she gets so tired of me asking it, but I know she knows. Off the top of her head, she knows. To the penny, for sure. So, but that's just what works for us. In some households, the male does everything and the woman does this. That's what works for you. You understand? It's no knock on what works, as long as it's working and there isn't any stress in the household. You understand? Now, it wouldn't work if every time we got paid, I'm spending money on just stuff of my own little passions. It's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna work. Because in our relationship, it has happened up and down. You know what I'm saying? I just said I married an accountant. I married a VP of Goldman Sachs. So at some point in our relationship, she made more money than me.
Right.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
And it was no knock. And it was no hit on my pride. Y'all hear me, bro? It wasn't no hit on my pride at all. Because we married and our flesh is becoming one. So there are no differences among us. All right? Our brains got a left and right brain, but then that whole left and right brain got a whole nother left brain. And you understand what I'm saying? So as long as we're communicating about these things, we don't have any problems. But when we stop communicating about these things, we got problems. All right? So communication is essential, right? Because we don't want to go lead towards what we're talking about, what God hates, which is divorce, right? Which is now we can't work past this threshold, Allah. We can't get past this. I know if we get past this, we're going to be at another level, but we can't get past this. And can't nobody tell me how to get past it. So I don't know what to do. So you know what? I'm out. I'm out. As soon as you say you out, that mindset of I'm out starts to creep in. I'm out, right? So let's look at the divorce rate in America. This is from divorce.com. Because when you divorce someone, again, the subject is marriage, love, and what? Business. Okay, we got somebody paying attention. Alhamdulillah. That means all praises due to God. All right. When you divorce someone in this society, you are suing them. This is a lawsuit.
Yes, sir.
That's why you got to go back in front of the judge. And they got to stamp it and seal it and put it in the records. Because this is what, because now, okay, so now we got to go through litigations. We got to go through all of this arbitrary things, right? All of this, because no, we got to institute a third party because we can't even talk to each other to dissolve this by ourselves. That's how crazy we are at this point. Right? And this is prevalent all the way through the United States. So this is the mindset of the system. All right. So it says the country reached 2.4 accrued divorce per 1,000 the people in 2022. Nevada and Oklahoma show the highest number of divorces nationwide, 4.2 to 3.7, respectively. Louisiana, Massachusetts, Illinois have the lowest divorce rate. All right. 60% of spouses married at 20 to 25 years old will be divorced. That's what the preacher told me when me and my wife got married. Well, he didn't tell us that, but he let the congregation know that they're going to need some help, according to the statistics, right? The average age of divorce in America is 30 years. Those who are marrying young. Nearly 69% of divorces are initiated by women. Ooh, wait. So you can say 70%. We just rounded up. All right. 30% are initiated by the men. So if the woman who's supposed to be the consoler, the nurturer, the one who's taking care of everything, quote unquote, 70% of them are filing divorce because you ain't handling your business.
Right.
They thought that the contract was good in the beginning, but it ain't. So now I got to sue you to get what I want. I got to take you to court because you don't want to comply to the rules that you said you wanted to comply in. This is what it's all about. For real. It's a hurtful situation, bro. I'm making kind of light of it, but it really is a hurtful situation. Anytime you got to separate from someone because you're not just tied to that person by paper. It's a spiritual connection, emotional connection. And you say you want that. And then when it happens, it hurts. You understand? No matter what type of facade you put on in front of people, really it hurts to the core. All right? So it's not something that God wants you to experience. That's why we have to do our due diligence early and not be afraid to do it. Will we make mistakes? Yeah. It's not a perfect system, but you got to do your due diligence. You got to ask these questions. You can't be so quick. All right? Quick facts. Dealing with this situation that God does not like us to deal with. Nevada and Oklahoma show the highest number of divorces nationwide. Louisiana, kind of going through the same thing, shows the lowest divorce rate. I wonder why that is. Ain't that something? Oklahoma's a Bible belt too. There's something to think about. Something to think about. Look at all the brothers like, I'm about to move to Louisiana. The average length of marriage before divorce and separation is what? 8 years, 8 to 10 years, what we talked about earlier. Lack of commitment is the most commonly cited reason for divorce in the U.S.
Wow.
We can stop right there. Making your word bond. The sister tell on you in the dope house, bro, you chose wrong. She ain't even a dope girl. She ain't even a dope girl, man.
Exactly.
She can't even get down right. You know what I'm saying? Loyalty is everything. For real. I don't care if you're doing bad or you're doing, loyalty is everything. You got to be loyal. So if the sisters is filing 70% of the divorces and the lack of commitment is the most commonly cited reason for a separation in the first 8 years, bro, you got to control yourself. In a society where we know you can get it easy. You got to control yourself. You can't just be out here with like a dog and your tongue hanging out at everything moving around, bruh. Because you gonna always find, all praise be to Allah, you gonna always find or see a sister that has the same thing that you like. The black woman is the most beautiful woman on the planet. She has the most perfect form on the planet. You understand? And it's the white or the open enemy who talked about it throughout the ages. You understand? So just know that that's your woman. That's cool, right? But you gotta stop doing her dirty. You gotta stop doing her dirty, man. We got to be committed if that's what we gonna do. Because while we out here slanging it, we got daughters that's popping up. You understand what I'm saying? And then as soon as somebody do your daughter that way, you got a problem. You understand? We talking about commitment and making your word bond. And why it hurt you so much is because you saw the nigga doing it when he came through the door. And she wouldn't listen to you. You know why? Because that's how her daddy was. You understand? So you see yourself. That hurts, bro. For real. When she won't listen to it, you be like, dude. Right. Then the other things happen. That's gonna make you react a certain way. In the movie, old boy went to the house with his strap and got shot by the brothers. You know what I'm saying? Man. And he was the preacher, wasn't he? The preacher said, man, please, you put your hands on my wife, man, it's cracking. We make it light of it, but these are the things that happens in our community. You understand? These are the things that happen in our community. 60% of the spouses married at 20 to 25 years of old will divorce. The average age of divorce is 30 years. Nearly 69% of divorces are initiated by women. First marriages last 8 to 9 years on an average. Second marriages last 7 to 10 years. And third marriages last 5 to 8 years. It gets shorter and shorter. Right. So this is what I'm saying. We got to teach male-female relationships early.
Yes, indeed.
Early. Now, this is the American society as a whole. You understand? We ain't talking about the black community, where 70% of our households are ran by single mothers, right? Non-committed men are setting up these single household arrangements, all right? Y'all all right? He's all right. Y'all okay?
Yes.
I'm not, okay. We almost done. But I wanted to bring this to our attention because, again, the nation is built on marriage. We say God, family, nation.
Yes, sir.
Right? Is that the hierarchy?
Yes, sir.
God, family, nation. So when we're talking about God, you got to learn everything about God when it's dealing with marriage. When you're dealing with your relationships between a male and female, what does he expect? What is God's expectations? Especially of a man who's trying to seek and reflect God, right? So you can't be playing with your tongue and with your mouth. Whatever you tell her, you better mean. And then you ain't got to worry about it. All right. Again, on divorce.com, the countries with the lowest divorce rate. Look at India. Y'all be talking about our brothers. Y'all be talking about our brothers and sisters. 0.01. 100th, right? Per 1,000. Look, they not even in the whole numbers all the way across the board. What is it that they know that we don't know? Now, I'm not saying that they perfect, family. They got laws in their countries about divorce that's different than the laws about divorce over here. All right? It's hard to divorce over there too. All right? So, but you gotta study this to know. So you got Vietnam, you got Lanka, you got Peru, you got St. Vincent's, right? Grenadines, South Africa, Malta, Guatemala, Venezuela, Ireland, Uruguay. The lowest divorce rates across the planet that they can track. Now let's look at the highest divorce rates. Look.
All right.
Look, y'all expecting to see the U.S. at the top, aren't y'all? Look, you see, look. Let's see. They ain't even close.
What?
Look at the first one, 5.52. Ain't nobody committed. Maldives. Then you got Russia. You got Georgia. It's crazy, right? And look, then you start getting down where you see the U.S. at. 2.8, but it's tied with Lithuania. Even Cuba has a higher divorce rate. The Ukraine, who we spending all this money on, got a high divorce rate, right? Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and Kazakhstan. That's in Russia too. And it's in Europe. Right? Somebody getting it right and somebody getting it wrong. Go back to the other slide. Where are these countries located at? It might tell you something. I mean, look at them again. Kind of just know where they at. The majority population there. You understand? You got Guatemala, you got Peru, you got Vietnam, you know. Look, and then look at these. And then look at these. Uh-oh. Them on. Uh-oh. There we go. Then look at these. Where are they all located at? Huh? Europe. You understand? But it's these people who rule the planet who would tell you about you and I and how we should be doing things. And they're showing you that they have a commitment problem. A commitment problem, right? So when you see the rise of these nations against these nations, you know why. Somebody is not honoring their contracts. And it shows in their population. Y'all understand? All right. All praise is due to Allah. So we got to do better, right?
Yes, sir.
We will do better, right? And we got to dig deep into this because this is just a surface that I covered today. But we got to dig deeper into this of how can we transform our community. And it's going to start with the man, with his thinking. You understand? Because a lot of these problems that we have in our community is because of the man. You understand? So much that the female wants to be the man now. Because we don't know how to be the man. That's what it is. So she's saying she can be a better man than you. And she can tap into her sister's emotions better than you. And she can console her sister better than you. That's what she's saying. And you don't care because you think you're going to play with it. Crazy. We crazy, man. So we got some work to do, brothers. We really do. But the first thing is to do it, admit that we got a problem. And once we admit that we got a problem, then we can atone to ourselves and our brotherhood. And we got to teach the young soldiers right, man. Especially when it comes to this male and female relationship. You can't teach him to be a hunter-gatherer in a certain way too early. Right? Because you'll destroy his mind. I'm telling you what I know, sis. You had your little boy somewhere teaching him how to hunt these girls down, and you thinking it's a boys mentorship program. So you better do your homework. You better watch them so they can guide them right. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I pray that I said something today that we can learn from, that we can go back and study, that we can dig deep into. Because I know we have a single population in the mosque, right?
Yes, sir.
And to those who are single, just make sure you ask a lot of questions. Do your homework. Especially if you want to do it the right way. My word of advice is don't be tricked into physical relation too early. Okay? Keep it on an intellectual level. The whole ride. All right? It's better for you. If only you knew. That's what the Quran says. Because the Quran does give the male the authority to have a polygamous relationship, but he says what? One is good for you if you only knew. You understand? So there's certain circumstances around that, but that's not what we're going to get into. But it mainly deals with war and not peace. All right? War and not peace.
That's right.
So don't let these pimps manipulate you with Islam. All right? All right. So I leave you as I came before you in the greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. I just have a couple questions to ask. How many of you here for your first time? Please raise your hand.